Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's me, Sarell. First and foremost, happy National Women's Month. And with that, today's episode is going to be special. Not only because it's National Women's Month, it's because it's going to be my first time collaborating with someone very close to my heart. And we actually share the same advocacy on sex education. And by the way, she actually participated in one of my viral posts on virginity. And I think sa episode na to, marami siyang share sa atin. And that's why I invited her to my YouTube channel para naman ma-feature natin yung ibang mukha, hindi lang ako. Without further ado, let me introduce you my very special friend, my college friend, Miss Mal. And we're back! Hi, Mal!
Hi, Sarell!
So, before we start the video, please share us something about yourself.
So, something about myself. Siguro, Sarell and I both share the same advocacies. Tsaka mahilig kami tumambay sa social media and to pick up on topics and perspectives that are worth discussing, lalo sa sex education. Aside from that, I'm also a mental health advocate, and I believe sex education and mental health both come hand in hand. Disclaimer lang din namin na, syempre, nag-research kami, pinaghandaan namin to. We've taken classes, we've read articles and all of that. Pero siguro, dahil limited din yung time, and syempre, on the spot namin to ginagawa. There are times na baka hindi perfect yung pagka-explain namin, or we use the wrong words, or baka magdi-disagree kayo sa sinabi namin, which is fine. Just feel free to write us a message or drop a comment, and we'll gladly address whatever concerns you have about yung mga bagay na sinasabi namin. Like, if you want more resources, if you want references, go ahead lang. So, today we're going to be talking about a topic that affects us all, and that topic was actually brought by a post I saw online sa newsfeed ko. So, today we are going to be talking about
consent. So, I know I've made a video before, pero I think ito mas will dig deeper into ano ba yung consent? Kasi marami pa rin nalilito, and feel ko consent is such an underrated topic when it comes to sex education, and it's one of the most important topics actually before entering any stage of your life. Dapat alam mo kung ano ba yung konsepto or yung concept ng consent. And with that, let's start the video about consent. So, Mal, para sa'yo, kailan mo unang natutunan yung word na consent?
Actually, college ako when I first heard that word. Sophomore ako, tapos I was taking a subject in gender and sexuality. Kasi yung word na consent, hindi mo siya naririnig on a daily basis. Lalo na English siya. So, yung Tagalog counterpart ng consent ay pahintulot. So, yung pahintulot, naririnig natin siya minsan. Pero, usually in such a formal setting, parang nagbibigay ka ba ng pahintulot? So, when I first heard the word consent, ayun, college na ako. Tapos it was in our class. And I was like, ano yung meaning nito? Nung una, akala ko, consent is just about saying yes or no to something. Pero it's actually more complicated than that.
True. Kasi minsan pag may doubts ka, alam mo sa sarili mo na you're not comfortable with your decision, pero talagang pinupush mo pa rin yung sarili mo mag-yes kasi parang yun yung ikasasaya ng ibang tao. Pero what we forget about consent is, it's our decision eh. It's our own happiness, it's our own choice na kapag nagde-decide ka, you decide for yourself and not to please others or not for others. Ngayon naman, Mal, magtungo tayo sa mga instances na na-experience mo natin yung consent. In what ways were you able to say na you gave consent to something? Siguro, hindi mo na ako mag-share about sex education para lang mag-grasp natin lahat kung ano ba talaga yung consent on a daily basis.
There are many ways you can give consent. It's just like this big word. Pero at the end of the day, it's about giving permission sa time mo, sa energy, sa something you own, or something related sa emotions mo or your body, for example. When someone asks you, parang, pwede ko bang hiramin yung notes mo, pabasa, gusto ko mag-review para sa exam. When you say yes or no, nagbibigay ka ng consent. Yes, sure, hiramin mo. Other ways are like when I'm walking my dog, parang, oh, yung cute-cute ng aso mo, pwede ko bang hawakan? Na magbibigay ako ng consent. Yes. Or, no, wag ngayon, stress siya, pagod na siya. And when it comes to myself din, parang, there are times na halimbawa, nasa conference ka or nasa activity ka, tapos parang, oh, sino gusto mag-volunteer? Tapos mga taong magsasabi, ikaw, Melissa, go, man! Tapos tatapatan na ako ng mic. In that scenario, I can actually say yes or no. Pero alam niyo, social pressure, sobrang tindi na parang kahit gusto mag-no or ayaw mo, parang you feel like you have no choice but to say yes. So in that case, technically, nagsabi ako ng yes, nagbigay ako ng consent. Pero it wasn't freely given. Parang hindi siya bukal ng loob ko. So, there are a lot of instances like that in life. And I guess it does happen. Pero we're here to talk about how consent can be freely given, lalo sa sex where it really matters.
Now we give you an general overview of how we can apply consent on our daily lives, hindi lang siya sa sex. So ngayon naman, focus na tayo sa mismong topic natin, which is about sex education. So, ikaw man, may nagtanong na ba sa'yo if comfortable ka ba dito or hindi? Or was it like all through the way out, wala lang, go lang kayo?
Pero siguro before I answer that, the first answer is yes. Sa experiences ko, may mga nagtatanong for consent. Pero I realized na I had a lot of experience before the first time someone asked me for consent. And nung tinanong ako whether I wanted to do something, sobrang nagulat ako. And I think the reason is that when you watch TV, for example, pag nanonood ka ng romance movies, yung dalawang bida, for example, they have this chemistry. Tapos parang tinginan, halikan na, tapos magtatanggal na sila ng damit, tapos tuloy-tuloy na siya. Parang consent isn't really shown in TV or in social media or sa mga movies kasi parang people see it as not sexy, nakaka-kill siya ng mood when people ask for permission. But actually, hindi porket nag-agree ka na maghalikan kayo, tuloy-tuloy na yan. I guess that's one of the things we have to remember about consent. Number one, saying yes to one thing doesn't mean you're saying yes to everything else. I guess number two, just because you said yes once, hindi ibig sabihin na every time it's okay, the answer is yes. Parang you still have to ask. Kasi katulad din siya sa inuman na there are times, halimbawa ako, umiinom ako. Pero that doesn't mean every single inuman gusto kong uminom. There are days na masakit ulo ko, gusto kong matulog ng maaga. So the answer is no. So you really have to ask me if you want to know what my answer is at the moment, di ba?
And lahat ng nasabi ni Mal, totoo yun. Kasi pag nandun ka na talaga sa moment na you guys are gonna have sex, it's very important to check in with your partner. Kahit nasabihin mo, makaka-kill siya ng mood. Pag nandun na ako at the moment, minsan nahihiya ako magsabi ng no. Minsan nahihiya ako magsabi na wait lang, hindi na ako comfortable. So, one way that I can address consent if hindi ko siya kayang gawin on the set na may ginagawa kami, is I usually address it after. So, kunyari, tapos na kami, ganyan, nandun na kami sa part na aftercare, sabihin ko na yung mga, uy, hindi ko ito nagustuhan, sa susunod, wag natin itong gawin. Doon naman sa masasabihan ng no or yung ma-reject, don't make me feel guilty about my decision. Kasi decision ko yun eh. It's my choice, it's my body, it's what I want to do. So, very important din na yung consent, dapat don't view it negatively kapag nire-reject ka. You have to respect your partner's decision as always. And always keep an open mind when it comes to consent. So, ayun lang sa akin.
Diba, like, you keep on thinking, when you ask something directly, hindi na siya romantic kasi dapat gets mo na. Dapat tinginan lang, alam na natin yung gusto ng isa't isa. Pero that's media. In reality, it's not like that. Especially, pag hindi mo gaano kakilala yung person. Like, kakamit nyo lang or fling mo lang. So, going back to the time someone asked me, sobrang, it did not kill the mood. Doon pa lang sa tinanong niya ako, at least, I was enthusiastic, I didn't feel pressured, and iniisip nyo na if someone asks you directly, baka makakill the mood. Pero what kills the mood more is when someone feels harassed. When someone wants to say stop, but they don't have an option to say they don't like what's happening. So, mas nakaka-kill yun ng mood. Tsaka, higit pa dun, nag-relieve siya ng trauma. Sobrang pangit siya na experience. But I've also experienced times when people made me feel bad for saying no. Mas simpleng example, I was in the car with someone, tapos they wanted to like hug me after. Tapos sabi ko, please don't. I'm not comfortable with this. Parang naiilang ako. Kaso nung pagbaba ko ng kotse, parang naslam nila yung door, tapos umalis sila ng sobrang bilis. So I felt so bad kasi parang, hala, bakit? Ba't ka galit sa akin? I just wasn't comfortable. So, ayun, that's actually the topic that brought Sarell and I together. Kasi nakita namin isang social media post that said, parang, it's not enough that people know that they can say yes or no. Kasi tayong lahat, alam naman natin, pwede tayong humindi. Di ba yun yung laging sinasabi sa mga tao? Pwede ka nang umalis, pwede kang humindi. Bakit? Ba't di mo ginagawa? But that's not just enough that people know na pwede silang humindi. Dapat walang social pressure. And dapat feel nila safe na umayaw sa isang bagay. And I guess that's what we need to talk about more. How to be this safe space for people.
Very important yung nasabi, na-mention ni Mal na safe space. So, ngayon naman, how do you make yourself a safe space to someone?
So, like the word safe space, it's like we hear it a lot of times these days. Safe space for LGBT, mental health safe space. And also pagdating sa sex, it's important that we are a safe space for people, especially when it comes to the topic of consent or like saying no. Ngayong COVID, like, yung mga tao na gusto mag-handshake or beso, tapos lalayo sa'yo, parang ma-offend ka na, ba't ka lumayo sa akin? Pero at the same time, gets mo, kasi karapatan naman nila, right? So, the same goes with sex when people say that they don't want to do something. Parang hindi natin maiwasan magkaroon ng sama ng loob minsan, or parang kahit lungkot man lang. And that's normal kasi tao naman tayo. Like, karapatan din natin magkaroon ng emotions na na-disappoint, nasaktan, na-offend, parang na-frustrate. Pero, I guess what's important to keep in mind na the whole point of consent and respecting consent and being a safe space is that you know na hindi mas mahalaga na makuha mo yung gusto mo kumpara sa feelings ng partner mo, kumpara sa feelings ng kaibigan mo, ng taong mahal mo. Kasi basically, when you violate someone's consent, like when someone says no, pero pilitin mo pa rin siyang gawin yung bagay na yun, you're basically saying, wala akong pakialam sa gusto mo, wala akong pake kung naiilang ka, wala akong pake kung di ka pa handa, wala akong pake kung nasasaktan ka. Basta ako, gusto ko itong makuha. And that's what happens when you violate people's consent. So as long as you keep in mind how important your partner's feelings are, parang dun mo magagawa yung pagiging safe space.
So basically, paano ka nga mag-ask ng consent? Kasi I think some people are still confused na, okay, siguro you're new to this, lalo na when it's your first time and you guys are gonna have sex. So ako personally, siguro ito na, mag-share na ako ng experiences ko. First and foremost, asking for consent. Ako, mas gusto ko siyang kino-communicate ko na yung mga gusto at hindi ko gusto beforehand. Parang ako personally, I communicate my wants and the things that I don't want to do. Like for example, I don't like giving oral sex as much as people do, other couples do. And there are times na hindi ako masaya or hindi ako comfortable sa decision ko. And that's when I give my no's to my partner. When I tell my partner about my limits and boundaries, nire-respeto niya yun. So, I think that's one way for me to communicate consent. And ikaw, so paano mo kino-communicate yung consent?
You were brave enough to share na unlike the porn stereotype na pag girls, magaling dapat yan mag-blowjob, ganito, ganyan. Like, role yan ng girlfriend. Like, I'm really glad na Sarell was able to share that. Kasi a lot of girls, myself included, there are times na hindi ka nang ka-comfortable mag-blowjob and you're not automatically good at that. So it's perfectly fine if, you know, that's something you don't want to do at all times. And I want every girl and everyone else watching this video to know that sometimes you can also say no, even though on a usual day, ginagawa mo, or even though alam mong matutuwa yung partner mo, hindi lang kasiyahan niya. Kasiyahan mo din. So, having healthy boundaries is like something na beneficial for both of you. How about me? How do I communicate consent? It really depends on the context. It really depends sa sitwasyon, tsaka kung sino yung kasama ko. Kasi iba-iba din yan. For example, in my long relationship, kasi matagal na kami magkasama, pero we have an idea ng preferences ng isa't isa. Tsaka siguro mahalaga din yung we started out slow. I know not everyone is like that, and that's perfectly fine. Pero sa amin kasi nag-start kami sa holding hands, nag-start kami sa hug, comfortable ka ba dito? Tsaka yung parang breaking that personal space bubble. Kasi kahit sa magkaibigan, hindi sa lahat ng oras comfortable ka mag-hug agad or mag-holding hands agad. So it's also getting to know the person and what they do or don't like. Tapos eventually nagbi-build up siya, tapos papunta siya sa sex. So when it comes to sex itself, parang when you're in a longer relationship, siguro I'd assume na multiple times na kayo nagkaroon ng sex. In my case, for example, naging part siya ng aftercare. Yung tinatanong namin yung isa't isa na, did you like this? Comfortable ka ba nung ginawa ko to? And that's also the chance for us to say na parang, kanina, actually, medyo naipit yung buhok ko doon. Pwede ba huwag natin yung gawin? Or parang, siguro, that didn't really work. Pwede ba natin i-try next time na huwag na lang ito? So, yun pa lang, consent. And also, that's parang feedback din siya in some way. And nga pala, disclaimer, talking about sex is really important to make any relationship tsaka sex life to be like fun and exciting and yung tatagal kasi hindi sa lahat ng oras pwede kayong umasa sa chemistry lang or eye contact, alam niyo na kung anong gagawin. It's not like that. Hindi siya pinapakita sa TV, pero if you've been to therapy, and I'm someone who goes to therapy a lot and it's my advocacy in mental health, there is sex therapy. People learn how to talk about these things. So, mahalaga. Another way of asking for consent is i-incorporate nyo yan sa sexting if you do that. If nag-text kayo mga spicy messages sa isa't isa, you could also say, for example, puts on blindfold. Ay, sorry, actually di ako comfortable na may blindfold. So at least alam ng person before it actually happens in real life, diba? So you could say it after. You could assert your boundaries during, kung kaya mo. And you can also do it beforehand. Before you guys do the actual thing, pwede yung pag-usapan via chat or message.
Consent is all about communication. It's very important that you give context.
Mm-mm.
Yun. Very important na, okay, consent comes with context. So, ano yung context? Bigyan mo naman siya ng reason kung bakit ka nag-no. It may be you're uncomfortable, it may be you're not just in the mood, or maybe there's something na bad experience, trauma yung naaalala mo kapag may ginagawa siyang ganun. So yeah, it's very important then to give context when you're saying yes or no to something.
I guess you can still say no during the moment. Pero ayun, if you guys can communicate about sex like before and after, that's super helpful as well. Again, it's trial and error. Depende din sa communication nyo. Depende rin sa parang comfortable. Like, the more you do it, the more you talk about sex, the more you talk about consent. Mas naging ano siya, natural in some way. So don't worry if at the beginning, parang you got it wrong. Or for example, if some of you guys feel like, hala, all this time I've been having sex and I haven't really asked someone directly or verbally if they liked it or if they wanted to do it. If you feel a bit of guilt, that's okay because that's at least you're self-reflecting. And there's always a chance to like message that person or whoever you're thinking about na, uy, sorry, nung nakaraan when we did this, I didn't really ask you if you were comfortable. I hope you were at the time, and if you're not, please tell me. I know better now. As long as you're learning and you're willing to apply what you've learned, that's what really matters. Siguro, like as we end this video, gusto lang din namin mag-share kung bakit consent yung pinili naming topic. And I guess it's because it's something that really matters to us. Not just from an educational perspective, kundi dahil sa personal experiences din namin, no?
Yes.
Para sa'yo, Sarah, like, why does it matter?
The concept of consent, it comes with communication, limits, and respect. Kung titignan mo, parang ang babaw lang nila, pero it's actually something na dadalhin mo buong buhay mo, or mula pagkabata mo hanggang sa pagtanda mo, dadalhin mo yung mga konseptong to. And that's why, for me, consent is an integral part of my life. And now that I know better, I can easily decide for myself. I can easily say yes or no without feeling guilty. And I can easily know what I want, what I really want, and prioritize my feelings more. Kasi for me, that's how I deal with consent. So, ikaw nga, how important is it for you to learn about consent now?
It's really important. And I guess looking back, the things Sarah and I are talking about now, I really wish may ganong videos dati. I really wish people talked about it. And I know it's not just me at like the age of 22. I know there are people right now who have children, who are married, and ngayon lang nila na-encounter yung konsepto ng consent. I guess looking back, I really wish someone would have told the younger Melissa na, alam mo, pwede ka mag-yes, pwede ka mag-no, at pwede ka magsabi kung hanggang saan gusto mo. Kasi you can say yes, pero pwede mo rin siyang bawiin. Pwede mo rin sabihin, stop, hanggang dito lang. Stop, nailang ako. Like, may karapatan ka. And when you hear that for the first time, minsan sobrang empowering din siya. Kasi nakakalimutan natin na our body is ours. And like, ito yung tahanan natin eh. Tapos, you don't owe it to anyone. Hindi mo obligasyon mag-yes. Hindi mo obligasyon na, ayan, nag-yes ka, ginusto mo to, so kailangan mong tiisin. No. Especially sex, it should never be about, kailangan mo tong tiisin. It should never be like that. It should be something you willingly want to do. And I really, really wish more people talk about this. Kasi it's supposed to be something that we enjoy, na we celebrate, we take pleasure in, and not something na feel natin, kailangan natin ibigay sa ibang tao. And so now, looking back, Sarah and I were telling this sa inyo, and we hope na ma-empower kayo sa thought na you can say no. And you can say yes, and you can say stop.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Ang dami ko na-absorb doon with that. Okay, sana may natutunan kayo sa mga sinabi na kasi maski ako grabe, nakaka-inspire. And thank you so much for being able to be here kasi taga Santa Rosa pa siya, taga Fairview ako. So guys, dinayo niya ako for this video. And by the way, this is actually her first video na she really speaks about her advocacy. So it's really my pleasure na mag-guest ka dito sa channel ko. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope you learned a thing or two from this video. It's a very special video for me because it's my first collaboration with someone I love and someone I share the same advocacy. So again, thank you so much.
Can I have a hug?
Yes! So that's consent, guys. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment down below what you learned from this video, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you on my next video. Bye!